Welcome. Okay, so for this one, I want to do a little bit different video. So I want to talk about the standings and my predictions for how it's going to end up in the Western and the Eastern Conference of the NHL, of course. So let's start in the East, because the East is an absolute dog fight right now. Like, I'm talking dog fight. There's so many teams that still have a chance to get in, which is incredible. Like, the Sabres are last, and realistically, they still have a shot. Now, do I think they're going to get in? No, they'd have to go on a pretty good run, and they've shown this season that, like, they're probably not capable of that. But I'm just saying it is possible for them, which is kind of crazy to me. It is just that wide open. So my standing predictions for the East, by the end of the regular season, I have the Toronto Maple Leafs in first in the Atlantic. Now, it could be them or Florida. Could be Boston, Tampa, but I got Toronto. I think it's Toronto. They're good regular season performers, that's for sure. Playoffs is a different thing, but in the regular season, they are good. That's for sure. So that's number one, Toronto. Number two, I got Florida. So Florida's got that second seed. They lock up some home ice advantage. The third seed in the Atlantic, which is still wide open. I mean, 1 and 2, it looks like it's going to be Toronto, Florida. Third is still wide open. I got the Tampa Bay Lightning. So it would be Lightning versus Florida, Battle of Florida in the first round, same as last year. Then we'll hop over to the Metro division. In the Metro, I've got Washington. Sorry, I actually have New Jersey as the 1 seed, because I think New Jersey has a really good team. I think they're going to come on strong in the second half. I think the off-season additions they made have been fantastic. Jacob Markstrom is a legit starting goalie, and they've needed that for a while. Dougie Hamilton being back and healthy is huge. A guy like Luke Hughes being, I think he's only 21 years old, taking a huge developmental step will be astronomical for them. Not only that, but getting another guy on the back end like Brett Pesce will be huge for them, and will significantly help their playoff chances, in my opinion. And then second, I have the Washington Capitals. Now, Washington does look like a really legit team right now. Alex Ovechkin, he's scoring on all cylinders. A guy like Dylan Strome, former third overall pick, obviously, but like he's come out of nowhere, relatively speaking, and delivered an absolute beautiful performance this season. Hopefully he can keep that up. He's looking like a player now. He's looking like the guy that was playing with Connor McDavid for the Erie Otters in their junior year. The guy that was drafted third overall. Like, he is looking very legit. I'm happy for him, really. It's been quite a while coming. He's played for a few teams now. I think Washington is his third team after Chicago and Arizona. So, he's finally found a home. They love him there, and I'm imagining he loves it there. He's having shattering his career years, so I don't know why he wouldn't love it there. Third, I have the Carolina Hurricanes. So the Hurricanes, they're always a good regular season team, but they kind of, can't get over the hump in the playoffs. A lot of second-round exits, some third-round exits as well, but they just really can't get over that hump. Maybe this year is their year, who knows? I think they need to have a strong deadline to have a real crack at that, because New Jersey and Washington, they have to go through one or both of those teams to get to the Eastern Conference Final, which sounds like a tall order if they don't make any moves. But they do have what I think is a very competent general manager that can go out and make some moves. Their general manager is very focused on analytics, so you can expect that whatever move that they do make, I think his name is Eric Tulsky, whatever move he does make, it will be backed by the numbers and the data to make sure that it does make their team better. So that's something to look out for. All right, now to the wild card spots. This is where it gets funky wonky. First wildcard spot, I got the Boston Bruins. I see them taking that number 7 seed, first wildcard spot, and making the playoffs. Now, they've kind of had a very up and down last month, 2 months after firing coach Jim Montgomery. They've been relatively mediocre. I think they find a way to kind of turn it around. I mean, Boston is always one of those teams that just they're in the mix. You know that they're going to scrape and claw for every single point that they can get their hands on. I think this season is the same stuff. I mean, Elias Lindholm, he's been bad to start the year. But, guys like that can turn it around. Even Jeremy Swayman, he's been bad to start the year. Like, flat out, I'm sure he would tell you that himself. He's been really bad. But I think he turns it around. He's too good of a goalie to have, a sub-900 save percentage for the entire year. I think he turns it around. When that happens, the whole team will turn it around, and they will secure that second wildcard spot. And the final wildcard spot, this one is pretty spicy. I got coming from the pits of the league at this point. The New York Rangers skyrocketing up the standings and securing a second wildcard spot. Now, I know everything is a little discombobulated in there, and there's a lot of animosity between like the Jacob Trouba stuff, and I know some of the players don't like how it was handled. But I could see them having a resurgent second half where they kind of just get their heads on straight, get everything going, get everything flowing, and they have so much star power. Like Adam Fox, he's a stud. Zibanejad's been not great this year, but like he's a good enough player. He has enough skill that he can turn it around. Artemi Panarin, the bread man, he's also a dog. I mean, he certainly can will this team to turn it around. So they absolutely have some pieces that can get the job done, and I think they will do so. I think they'll end up scraping past all the other teams in their way. So they're my number 8 seed, and they would be a pretty scary number 8 seed considering they made it to the Eastern Conference Final last year. Like if I was one of those top teams, like maybe a Toronto or a New Jersey or whoever ends up facing them in this hypothetical scenario, I don't think I would want to face them. I would maybe even rather play Boston if they're the other wild card. So it'll be interesting to see. So that's my Eastern Conference. I have Columbus, Montreal, Detroit, and Philadelphia all kind of falling off in the second half. They've been okay, those 4 teams, but I see Detroit. They have their head coach bump right now when they've hired Todd McClellan, but I think they're going to fall off pretty soon. Same with those other teams that I just mentioned. Columbus has been a great story, but I just don't see it in the long run. I think they end up falling out, and which will allow a team like the New York Rangers to jump back into a playoff spot. And the Ottawa Senators, some of you are probably wondering, what about them? I think they just miss. Like, let's say the Rangers get in with like 93 or 94 points, the Sens miss to like 91 or 92. That's just the way I see it. I think they're still such a young team with obviously no playoff experience that the end of the season gauntlet that they're going to need to get through is going to be too tough of a task for a team like New York, who's catching up to them, who's been through that stuff, multiple long playoff runs, multiple end-of-season pushes. They've been there, they've done that. I think they get it done more than Ottawa will. So that's why I unfortunately have the Senators missing the playoffs. So in this Eastern Conference playoff bracket, this would be the exact same 8 teams as last year, except you'd swap out New Jersey for the New York Islanders, who I also don't have the Islanders. That team is so stuck in mediocrity. They're going to be there for a while too, I think. Moving over to the West, this one's a little more cut and dry. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I've got Edmonton finishing first in the Pacific. I think they do catch Vegas. I think that team is too good. Edmonton's going to make some big deadline acquisitions. Maybe I'm biased. That's totally fair. But I can just see it happening. Vegas has been a wagon all year. I got them finishing second in the Pacific. At some point, they got to slow down, right? Because, man, they've been hot. They've been so hot. And they can always, of course, pull something out of their hat. Big deadline acquisition. Like they did last year. They made 2 last year with Noah Hannafin and Tomas Hertl. So we'll see what they do this year. They always have a bag of tricks. So they'll probably do something funky. That is for sure. Third, I got the Los Angeles Kings. That's a good team. You know what? They're a really good team. They got Drew Doughty still not even playing yet this year. So that's like adding a trade deadline piece into your lineup. Plus whatever else they end up doing at the deadline. So that'll be interesting. They're definitely a good team. In the Central Division, my number 1 seed, I got the Dallas Stars. They've been really hot lately, and I think they're going to carry that momentum all the way through the second half. That their whole lineup is very strong. They're so deep up front. Their D-core is pretty solid, led by Miro Heiskanen. Jake Ottinger, their goaltender, he's excellent. He's, in my opinion, top 5 to 7 in the league easily. So I have them making it all the way up the Central Division standings. I'm finishing first. And second, I have a team that was also kind of in the basement earlier in the year, but has had such a resurgence behind Mackenzie Blackwood, and that's the Colorado Avalanche. They look really good. Mikko Rantanen, he's a dog. He's in his contract year. I mean, the guy might get $14 million on his contract. That's per year. So we'll see. He's going to want to keep that pace up, and I think he can do it. And I think him, McKinnon, Makar, and, of course, the aforementioned Mackenzie Blackwood will help this team vault to the second position in the Central Division, giving them a home ice advantage for the first round. Now, in the third seed for the Central Division, I have the Winnipeg Jets. Jets fans wouldn't want to hear this because, of course, they got smoked by Colorado last year. And if they finish third and Colorado finish second, it'd be the same matchup again this year. And personally, I would see it going the same way. I would take Colorado in 5 or 6 games. Winnipeg's been great this year, but Colorado just seems to have their number. Like, they're just one of those teams where They know how to get to Connor Hellebuck. They know how to get to that whole team. Especially with Mackenzie Blackwood playing like a stud right now. It would be tough for Winnipeg. I just don't see them beating Colorado straight up. First wild card spot. I have Minnesota. So right now, I'm pretty much all season they've occupied one of the top 3 seeds in the Central Division. By season's end, I do believe that they will come back down to earth a little bit. Still like the playoffs, of course, but I think they'll end up being the wild card spot, which is a fine place to be in if you're Minnesota. They're still a really good team. Kirill Kaprizov, he's a stud. Yeah, nothing more to say about them. They've got a solid team. I don't see them going on a deep playoff run. But yeah, wild card 1 for them. Wild card 2, just squeaking into the playoffs. I have the Vancouver Canucks. As of today, they currently sit outside of a playoff spot, but only by 1 point. By the time the trade deadline passes, I think they add something. By the time the season is finished, I have them in the wild card 2. I think they got too much skill there to really not make the playoffs. I mean, I think they're going to end up keeping Pettersson and Miller, which both those guys are fantastic centermen. Quinn Hughes is so elite. They've been dealing with some injuries, but that won't last forever, of course, and I do see them making the playoffs as a second wild card team.